the most effective way to invest and diversify your money. Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode at Novarise Invest, your channel for financial education. Today, we're going to talk about diversification. I am sure at this point, you probably heard about the saying, do not put all of your eggs in one basket. And that is exactly what we're going to cover today. We're going to help you identify certain different type of assets that you can invest in based on the level of effort, of capital, time, you name it, and help you decide from that point on which one you should be focused on so you can slowly work on diversifying your portfolio in the long term. So without further ado, let's get started. Before we start, let me remind you to subscribe to the channel and hit the notifications button. So first things first, what I want to do is just to quickly draw a wheel to help you see, the full-blown picture of what diversification should look like. And I know it's not the brownest, image right here, but bear with me for a sec. And we're going to just divide this between multiple asset classes that you should be paying attention to. So it is not surprised that, real estate is most commonly known as the best asset class to invest your money and eventually to diversify it if you started investing with a different asset class, right? To that, we're going to follow it with a business because, hey, who doesn't want to have their own business, something that they can call your own, and then something that they can use to not only contribute to the national economy, but also to use it to create jobs and provide jobs to other people and family. Then after that, there is investments in the stock market, right? And then our precious metals. So it's very important that you also diversify your investment with precious metals. And lastly, there's also commodities, right? And so it is important, once again, to have all of these as part of your investment portfolio because you want to move around the risk. So if something were to happen in the stock market, you still rely on whatever you invested in your real estate portfolio. And then if something happens on your business, you have other sources of income that could be coming from either precious metals or commodities. However, you see here that I left something in the nucleus, something in the middle, because all of this won't work unless you have the most important asset out there, and that is education, okay? You can try to build everything around it. You can try to do many things, but eventually it's a matter of sustainability. How long can you sustain something unless you know what you're doing? If you don't know what you're doing, maybe you got a lucky shot. Maybe you amass a portfolio out of luck, but eventually you're going to have to learn to manage it and to preserve it because, like Kiyosaki said, it's not about how much you make, but about how much you keep. And in order to do that, education is very important. Education is important to build a real estate portfolio, a business, your stock portfolio, precious metals, and commodity, right? So the way we're going to go about this is to talk about each and one of these asset classes based on 5 different categories. So one is how tangible is the asset, followed by the level of effort that you need to invest in it. Then how much capital do you need to allocate to that or, to do as an initial investment, right? And then 4, can that asset generate any type of income or cash flow for you? And lastly, the use or the versatility of it. So, like I said, education is the most important asset that you have. So we're going to start off the list by analyzing what makes education so great. So you have education right here. And in terms of how tangible it is, I have to say it's not very tangible. Why? Because when you're educating yourself, all that knowledge goes straight into your brain. You cannot feel it. You cannot touch it. You just simply know about it. However, as time goes along, then you're going to see that same asset becoming into something tangible, but it's not the knowledge that it becomes tangible. It becomes tangible through what you can build or what you can acquire. Call it real estate, call it a stock portfolio, or a portfolio of precious metals. So in that sense, it could play multiple roles. It's not really tangible, but it's tangible towards the end. Now, in terms of effort, it is the asset class that requires the most effort out of you. Okay, you have to do a lot of sacrifices. You have to sacrifice quality time with your loved ones, sacrifice quality time with your friends, give up partying or giving up some type of travel, because you need to lock yourself down and learn and study the most you can. And by study, I'm not talking about going to college or an actual formal education, just any type of education. Right now, you're watching this video, which means you carve time out of your precious schedule to learn something new. Time that you could have dedicated it to someone else, but you chose to be here with us in Novarise so you can continue to expand your knowledge in terms of financial education, right? Now, let's just move along and let's just talk about capital. How much capital do you need to invest in education? Actually, not that much when you're getting started. Like I said, there are various channels that are free that you can tap into to learn. One example is this channel, Novarise. You can watch all these videos that are uploaded in YouTube for free and learn more about financial literacy. As you grow more and more curious, you will eventually move on to other books that are more specialized, more skilled, that's going to give you a certain knowledge that you're seeking to get. Or eventually you can invest a couple of hundreds or a couple of $1,000s in courses. So in terms of capital, it varies, right? Now, in terms of income, how much can education generate for you? And that is none. When you're studying, you're not generating anything. You're not producing. You're not adding to the economy, because you're using your time and your energy to learn about things, to learn about how you can be better, or to learn to acquire a certain skill so that you can recreate something in the future. So it doesn't bring you any income today whatsoever. However, if you don't educate yourself, you risk the chances of having more losses, right? So you lose more money. But then if you educate down the road, down the line, in the future, you will be able to create tangible assets and get access to, money in the long run. And in terms of usage or versatility, that will stay with you forever. Education is the only thing that no one can take away from you. You can lose your real estate, you can lose your stock portfolio, you can even, lose your precious metal, but only you will have access to that knowledge stored in your brain, and no one else will be able to access it. So you can have the potential to leverage that information and rebuild everything again from zero. And that is why I say education is the most important asset that you will ever have. Now, moving along and talk about diversification into real estate. So with real estate, how tangible is it? Very. Real estate is extremely tangible, very tangible. You can touch, feel, step on a house or a building. And the level of effort is actually quite high as well. Why? Because not only you need to, prepare yourself in terms of education, you also need to do your market research. You need to know where exactly you're investing. Not every single area is a nice area to invest just because you see a beautiful house, right? You also have to do planning in terms of your financing, right? How to qualify for a loan, and also planning in terms of your taxes. If you don't do this right, all the money that you're making is going to go away with the taxes that you're paying to Uncle Sam. So the effort, once again, is high. Now, regarding capital, do you need a high level of capital? Not exactly. Once again, it all comes down to education. So if you educate yourself, you will know that there are ways to invest in real estate with as little as $25. If you don't believe me, check out this episode on the side that's going to teach you how you can do that. On the other hand, if you don't educate yourself, you can take the long road and, spend a lot of money by giving down a high down payment, or just simply by buying the wrong house for you that it's going to wind up costing you a lot of money. Now, in terms of income, well, real estate can generate a lot of income for you in terms of cash flow if you choose to rent it out, in terms of appreciation, which will help you look good in your net worth, and also with the depreciation, because It will help you save a lot of money on taxes. Huh? You didn't know that, huh? Now, in terms of usage or versatility, right? How versatile is real estate? Very, very versatile. Because once again, you can generate cash flow with it by either selling it or renting it. You can actually generate debt to create more money through a cash out refi or through a HELOC. And for those who are hearing about a cash out refi or a HELOC for the very first time, I invite you to check this episode on the side after you're done with this one, of course, where I go very in deep about the subjects of cash out refis and HELOCs. Now, moving along, and let's just talk about diversifying into a business. But before we do that, if you're enjoying this episode, do not forget to hit the like button right here so you can help this episode rank and help others like you looking for information of this kind. So, how tangible is a business? Well, that will depend. A business is generally very, very, very tangible. Why? You can feel the structure, you can feel the actual business, you can feel the products that you're selling, you're feeling the employees that you're hiring into your company. But it could sometimes feel non-tangible. Why? Let's say, for example, if you're providing a service, right? So for example, you're a consultant, or let's say you have an online business and where the business in itself doesn't require an office space. You could be working from your home, but there's nothing that you can actually call as an actual business. Or maybe the service that you're not feeling, you're not touching it, but you know it can generate results. So in that sense, it could be versatile, depends on what you're doing. And depending on how versatile it is, it may or may not be tangible, quote unquote. Now, in terms of effort, it requires a lot of effort. Why? Because it is a business. If you don't work in it, you don't generate money. So you have to work. Yeah, you can automate it and you can delegate certain responsibilities. But even to get to that point where you can delegate your business to someone else so it can run in auto mode, even that will take you a lot of effort to train your staff, to train your team to get to that point. Now, in terms of capital required, I can say it's generally high, unless you're doing drop shipping or something like that. But generally, it requires a high amount of capital from the moment you start educating yourself towards getting inventory, towards hiring. It requires generally a high amount of capital for you to get started. In terms of income, well, it is not a surprise. If you're having a business, chances are you're generating cash flow, right? And it's not just on the cash flow side. You can also take advantage of deductions that will help you keep money in-house because it's helping you save money on taxes. In terms of use, well, a business can be very versatile because depending on whether you're given a product or a service, you can evolve based on the feedback that you're receiving from the market. Is your business doing good? Is a certain product doing good? Maybe you should get rid of one product and introduce another one. Same thing with a service. Maybe there's a service in particular that's not generating a lot of revenue. So you can go ahead and replace that with something else that is value add for everybody. And that's the beauty of having a business, right? You can always adapt based on the market feedback that you receive. So moving along, let's just talk about stocks, right? So how tangible are stocks? Not much. Why? Because when you're investing in stock, you're investing in a piece of paper that is backed by another asset, but you don't get access to that asset. Call it real estate, call it a building, call it a business. It's just a piece of paper. It's a contract that you're signing and you say, well, I am investing in this, and in exchange, I am getting the right to own a piece of that business. But it's not like they're taking that building and breaking it down into multiple tiny pieces and giving it to you. And that's why I say it's not tangible. It's not something that you can touch. It is a piece of document that it states that that's what you're owning. In terms of level of effort, I will say it's moderate. Why is it moderate? Because, well, you have to do some type of research or market study at the beginning because you need to understand, hopefully, what you are investing on, why you want to invest in it, and how is it that you're planning to make money on it. And then once you have researched that and you decided that that's the right investment for you to go about, then you invest your money. But then after that, you have to constantly keep monitoring the market for any potential changes that could harm your portfolio. And if it comes to that, you are going to have to make a decision to either sell or keep a certain stock within your portfolio, but know the consequences that are about to come with whatever decision that you choose to make. So that's what makes it moderate, because yes, you're putting a lot of effort in the beginning, but after that, you don't devote that much effort to a stock investment, but you still have to monitor it from time to time to make sure that it's doing well on its own. Then in terms of capital, do you need a lot of capital? Not really. In fact, you can start investing in the stock market with as little as $20. And if you want to find out how, here's an episode here on the side where you can actually check it out after you're done with this one. In terms of income, can the investment in a stock market generate any type of income for you whatsoever? Yes, it can. If you invest on stocks that offer dividends, then every quarter or every month or every 6 months, depending on the type of company that you invest in, you will receive dividends. Or you can just get stocks that offer no dividends at all, but then these stocks are going to contribute towards the increase or the growth of your net worth. And in terms of use, it's somewhat versatile depending on whether you have a short-term strategy or a long-term strategy. A short-term strategy, let's say you plan on investing in the stock market, you buy some stocks in the morning and then you ended up selling it at the end of the day, that's considered short-term. Or you buy and then within a couple of weeks, you sell it and you use the proceeds to buy something bigger, right? Now, in terms of a long-term strategy, that could also work if you're the kind of person that wants to buy stocks and then just simply holding it forever like Warren Buffett does. And then maybe someday it eventually cash out when you retire, but you don't intend of living off of that money anytime soon. So that's another strategy that you can implement with your stock investment. And that's what makes it somewhat versatile as well. Now, the topic of precious metals, which I know in a way can create a lot of controversy depending on who you're talking to. So are precious metals tangible? I will say yes. Everything about that metal is very tangible. If you buy a gold bar, a silver coin, or a gold coin, you can feel it. You can touch it within your presence. Now, the level of effort to invest in it, I will say is relatively low. All you need to do is to do your market research at the very beginning, right before you invest, to try to learn and understand the metal and see which one is the one that's going to work best for you. You buy it and then you keep it in your possession. And then after that, there's not much for you to do with it really, because an investment in precious metals, it's like buying an insurance, right? And in a minute, we're going to get to it. So in terms of capital, well, depends on what you invest in. If you're investing in silver, then you can say that the investment capital is relatively low. But if what you're buying is gold, then your investment capital, your entry point is actually quite high. At least for now, an ounce of gold is reaching $2,000. While silver, it's somewhat more accessible for you financially to invest in it. Now, in terms of income, how much income can it generate or cash flow? And this is the part where I say none, because once again, just like I mentioned earlier, having precious metals is like having insurance. Investors buy precious metals as a way to protect themselves against a currency devaluation. Call it the dollar, call it the pesos, call it the yen, call it the yuan or the euros, whatever it is. Every time there's a hint or there is something that can prove that a currency is going down in value, you will see investors running towards the purchase of precious metals as a way to protect themselves against inflation or against the devaluation of their currency. And that leads me to the use. So what can you really do with precious metals if it's not generating any income or any cash flow? It's very simple. You can either sell it and get new money because, it's a great hedge against inflation, or you can just simply use it as collateral. You can take out a loan and you use that gold as a collateral and you get access to liquidity in the short term, whether it's to propel your business or to buy real estate or to provide means ends to your family in a difficult situation. So now, next in the list, we have commodities. And I decided to separate this from precious metals, because I know sometimes metals and commodities are lumped together, but I wanted to keep it separate because this is more of a physical product and this is more of like a paper product, more like something that you will get access in the stock market. So for those who are unfamiliar with the terms of commodity, it's just basically something that you will use on a daily basis and you will use to make your life easier. An example of it could be oil. Another example of it could be iron. It could be copper, anything that you use to create a product to make your everyday life a lot more easier. Okay. So in terms of how tangible commodities can be, in this case, they're not very tangible because you will invest in commodities through ETFs, which can be purchased through the stock market, right? So in this case, you're buying, once again, a piece of paper that is backed by a commodity, but you're not physically owning the actual commodity. You're owning the right to something. Now, in terms of effort, it is very similar to investing in the stock market. It's somewhat moderate and where you have to do research to understand what's going on in the market. And then you have to stay on top of what's happening in the event that you need to make a decision to either sell or buy more of that particular ETFs. Now, in terms of capital, do you need a higher entry point? It all depends on the type of ETFs that you're buying. You can buy something for a very low price. You can buy something, at an intermediate level, or you can buy something that costs a lot of money. So it will all depend on what you choose to invest according to your research, according to your education. So now you get to see a very common trend, and it all revolves around education, education, and education. Now, in terms of income, like I said, it could be very similar to investing in the stock market and where you can get dividends, or you can simply get ETFs that don't offer any dividends whatsoever, right? So no dividends. And in terms of the use or how versatile it can be, well, same thing. Do you have a short-term strategy or do you have a long-term strategy? And depending on the strategy that you have, you can use it to generate money right away, or you can just simply just hold it until a very, very long time and make it to that special day when you decide to cash it. And speaking of education and investment in real estate, if you're looking to learn the right way to invest in real estate and prevent future mistakes that you could be making, let me invite you to this free webinar right here on the screen that you can definitely check out free of charge. All you got to do is just to simply pick a time that works best for you, bring pen and paper, and just take notes away and learn lots and lots that is going to help you in the future. I will be seeing you at the webinar. Take care. Bye-bye.